Good morning. Happy Wednesday, everyone. Welcome to today's episode of Morning Wealth. 3 points that we will talk about: European Commission's summer forecast, Walmart's taking on Amazon, and shutdowns in Australia. Wall Street closed in the red. Nasdaq and S&P snapped a 5-day rally. A spike in COVID cases in US and Australia dampened reopening and recovery hopes. On the COVID front, US 7-day rolling average of cases surpassed 50,000, while hospitalizations climbed above 40,000, and 8,000 of them were in Texas. The dollar mostly strengthened against the G10 counterparts, though the pound outperformed. Oil dipped and gold advanced. Nikkei futures are a bit lower and Hang Seng is slightly higher. The Fed remains in whatever it takes mode. The central bank would probably adopt more forward guidance and asset purchases if needed to prop up the economy further, said the Vice Chair Richard Clarida. Shares of airlines were among the biggest decliners after United Airlines said reservations for travel within the coming months began to slide after new quarantine measures were put into effect. The carrier also warned employees to prepare to receive notifications of potential furloughs that will happen as soon as this week. So the shares were down. United was down 7.6%, Delta was down about 5%, and JetBlue was also down 4.6%. Airlines are also lining up another $25 billion in federal loans as they stockpile cash to weather a crisis that they have said will likely last for years. Energy and financial stocks were among the biggest decliners in the S&P 500, both groups falling more than 2%. In fact, energy was down about 3.18%. The European Commission released its summer forecast report, which downgraded its expectations of the trade bloc's economy. It's now expecting a contraction of 8.3% for 2020, down from an earlier prediction of 7.4%. It also forecast less growth next year than previously thought, indicating a longer downturn. On the equity side, some vaccine-related action. Novavax jumped about 32% after landing a $1.6 billion award to develop a COVID-19 vaccine. Regeneron also soared after being awarded a $450 million government contract to make and supply its double antibody cocktail. Walmart's taking on Amazon, and this is interesting. It will introduce a subscription service to compete with the web giant's Prime program this month. Walmart Plus, as the service is known, will cost about $98 a year and include same-day delivery of groceries and general merchandise. Shares jumped about 6.8% on this news. TikTok played up its US ties and said it doesn't feed user data to China, pushing back against comments from the US Secretary of State Mike Pompeo. Nvidia is closing in on Intel in terms of market value. The graphic chip maker rose about 2.4%, having gained about 70% in 2020, as investors bet on pandemic accelerating a shift towards cloud-based digital services that use its technology. On the FX side, US dollar traded higher against most of the major currencies on Tuesday, but a large part of its gains were incurred during the Asian and early European trading sessions. In fact, in the New York hours, the greenback actually consolidated with very little direction. Fresh lockdowns in Australia is the biggest story in the Forex market. It started with shutdowns in Melbourne suburbs, but now the entire city and suburbs around it have been ordered to stay at home for the next 6 weeks. Victoria is the second largest state in Australia, and this lockdown is expected to affect about 5 million people. According to the Treasurer, this lockdown poses a serious risk to the economy's recovery and could cost the nation about $1 billion a week. So while yesterday we had the RBA said the virus damage on the economy should be less severe than they feared, the uncertainty around this lockdowns drove the Australian dollar and the Australian stocks lower. In contrast, Germany, the Eurozone's biggest economy, continues to see lockdown restrictions, making the euro continues to ease lockdown restrictions, making the euro more attractive in comparison. A German state will allow fairs starting July 18th and gatherings of more than 1,000 people from 1st of September. So improvements such as these have allowed investors to shrug off slightly softer industrial production numbers. The German IP rebounded in May, but less than expected. Yet sterling was the best performer. No major UK economic reports were released today, but investors were driving the currency higher on the prospect of new fiscal stimulus measures. The Chancellor Sunak is scheduled to provide an economic update and present these measures today, in fact. That's the update. Stay safe and healthy, everyone. Speak soon.